Okay, so any starting pose you would like to be in, as long as your body feels really good, maybe it matches your mood. You can let your eyes close when you're ready. And perhaps you move around a little bit in any way that feels nice. And finding a place where you can remain relatively still. Noticing the sort of energy you feel. Do you feel the energy of anticipation or of wanting? The energy of calm? The energy of preoccupation or excitement? And so, of course, with these feelings, and even all those words, those examples I just gave, we're already writing stories. We're already predicting things and deciding on things. So let's use these adjectives, and you can find your own, knowing that they are symbols for things that we're kind of investigating. They don't have to be conclusive, and there's no right or wrong. You're really just checking in with how you feel, knowing that this is malleable, that your feelings are not necessarily definitive, but they are certainly worthy of respect. And have a couple of slow breaths to see how that shifts things for you. You might inhale with a bit of depth and let the slowness be focused on the exhale. And take a moment to maybe set an intention for your practice or simply become really, really aware of what you need. You know, the other day after I did a really intense practice, I was very sweaty, and I had posted something about how one of the best investments you can make for your future self is exercise. But the caveats I want to say now to that are one of the other best investments you can make for your future self is rest. And also the self doesn't really exist. So, there's a lot of fun stuff to unpack there. But what do you need? Do you need exercise? Do you need rest? Do you need both? You want to leave it open? That's okay too. But be honest, be kind. For me, today, my yoga practice will be the most conducive to my values if I focus on a good bit of rest in the body and a good bit of meditation. Notice what you need. It can be the complete opposite or the same or something in the middle of what I just said. But will you benefit most from having your yoga asana practice today be pretty intense and exploratory, or pretty easy and simple? Again, these are not goods or bads. And if you feel attached to anything, ideas of what you should do, or guilt for maybe not, quote, working out, or not, quote, resting, again, notice when the shoulds, the always and the nevers, the goods and the bads pop up. How can you be kinder, more respectful of your mind and your body? What does it really need if you were to ask it without any assumptions? I genuinely believe paying attention to what our actual mental and physical needs are on the day can matter more in a lot of ways than having a very set kind of program where you decide earlier in the week exactly what you're going to do. Really, it's so, so wise to leave room for edits, leave room for adjustments. So the goal at this point is now going to be to draw the attention to the breath, perhaps with a little more softness in the face, some rhythmic breathing, ujjayi breath if you practice it. And if you become lost in thought or daydreaming, you might want to be there. It might help. It might be something worthy of feeding. If it isn't, without any kind of rejection necessarily, notice any feeling of resistance or aversion, and simply see the thought and the story without giving it any power. The more resistance and the more aversion you might feel towards it, the more you might strengthen it. So we're constantly stepping back and how can I respect my body and my mind a little bit more? How can I be a little bit kinder? And go back to your breath. Again, so this practice, if you want to, you can open your eyes, you can stretch a little bit. With this practice of kind of scanning the mental field, we're going to do that over and over again. Whenever we practice, what do you want to enhance? What is worth maybe diminishing a little bit so it gets a little less of your time? So move in a way that helps you feel a little bit more in tune with the mood your body is in. This again can be sitting or lying down. You don't have to follow any rules. And still biasing yourself towards that respect, that kindness. We're eventually going to meet doing our cat-cows today seated with the feet together and the knees out. If this maybe doesn't suit your back as much, you can perhaps do this on hands and knees. That's totally fine. But if you're neutral to it or you like it, feet together, knees apart, grab onto your shins. We'll have a lot of it, who am I kidding, of attention to the hips today. Grab onto your legs. Lift your sit bones up towards the ceiling. Let your knees lift up and then lift your sternum. And let's bring some attention into the back. So a slight back bend or maybe something more deep if that feels better for you. You might glide your shoulder blades down the back a little. And when you exhale, move your back towards the floor and drop your head. Inhale, pull yourself forward. And exhale, lean back. And keep going. Again, a lot of focus on exploring right now, so you can hold one of the poses for longer. You can move really slow, really fast, whatever suits. Good. Good. When you're ready to, bring your back to neutral-ish. Draw your heels as close as you can get them to your sit bones, and it's okay if you have to round to get there. You're going to place the fingertips to the floor behind you and find your breath. So when you inhale, you're going to push your fingertips into the floor, as if you can, as far back as they need to go. And then lift your sternum and bring your back again to neutral. So you're not trying to back bend or forward fold. You're just sitting up tall so the top of the head lifts. And then we're going to press the heels together, maybe the pinky toe sides as well. And just let the breath be the main focus as your knees drop a little. So the heels are really pressing together. If you have the body type that likes to open up the feet like the pages of a book, feel free. Not everyone does. But again, lots of care. Not putting up with any funky stuff around the bends in the body. Just allowing the time, your breath, the pressure of the heels into each other, and gravity to let your legs drop. If they might, again, just know everyone, if your knees are up and then you've been doing this for years and your knees are still up, often that's a bone thing. It's not something you need to concern yourself with. Just feel your heels pressing together. Maybe the sit bones lift a little bit so you can feel more of a tug in the inner thighs. Lots of breath. You can even close your eyes if you want to. Okay, let's make our way however you want. Onto hands and knees. And find your breath again. And when you're ready to, reach the right leg back in space. Breathe in. And when you breathe out, you're going to take your right knee to your right elbow and then bring it to the outside of the leg and put the right toes on the floor near the pinky. So we're going to be on the toes and the ball of the foot, and you're going to lift your right knee up. You can come up onto your fingertips if you want to. Just allow your right knee to move forward. The heel is only as high up as your body likes. Doesn't have to be super high, but push your toes into the floor. And then go ahead and lean your weight into your back leg. You might plant your hands again, bring your right knee back. We're going to flow like this a bunch. Inhale, reach your left leg back. Exhale, take your left knee to your left elbow, and then place the toes near the pinky, eventually lifting your heel off the floor. Maybe lifting the heels of the hands and allowing everything to shift forward some, especially that left knee. So it goes forward into the left, and then go ahead and come back to hands and knees, exhale. So we'll go a little bit faster. We're not going to change it though. Inhale, reach your right leg back. Exhale, right knee, right elbow, right toes to pinky. Inhale, come on to the fingertips, lift your heel, take your right knee forward, take your torso forward. You can bend your elbows if you want to. Exhale, hands and knees. Extra time if you need it. Inhale, left leg back. Left knee, left elbow, left toes to the floor near the pinky. Lift your heel, lift the heels of the hands, so lift all the heels and shift forward. Hands and knees, exhale. Right leg back, inhale. Knee to elbow, toes to the floor, exhale. Lift the heels, lean forward, inhale. Hands and knees, exhale. Left leg, breathe in. Knee to elbow, breathe out. Toes to the floor, heels up, lean forward. Back to hands and knees. So now we'll change it up. Reach your right leg back again when you're ready to. Knee to elbow as before, exhale. Toes to pinky, lift the heel. And then this time, keep your hands on the floor. So we're not going to get the fingers, we're not going to try to tire out the fingers too much. Keep your palms down or your fists. But the right heel is up, and then we're going to lift the left knee too. So your right knee is pointing out to the right. You're going to press into the floor with your hands. If it's too much, you can put your back knee back down. But from here, we're going to take that right heel and lower it a little, and then lift it again. Even if you lift and lower just a little bit, lower it, lift it. With your breath, lower, lift. And again, if you find you're lost in thought, is where you're at, is it energizing you? Is it calm? And you might decide you can just kind of let it come up, let it go. There's no need to dwell. And let's lower the back knee, maybe the front heel too, and send the right leg back. Tuck the toes, downward dog. So if you want to take a vinyasa, shift your weight forward into plank pose. Again, since I'm not going to work my body too much, I'm going to do everything that feels a little sweeter and easier. So my knees are going to come down. You might find it wiser to leave yours up. But let's lower onto the belly if you're taking this vinyasa. Find your cobra or your upward dog or your sphinx. And we're going to meet back to hands and knees. When you're ready, inhale, reach your left leg back. Exhale, left knee to left elbow and then toes to the floor. Come up onto the heel, or the toes, excuse me, but plant your hands all the way down, lift your back knee up. So imagine your back leg like plank pose, like a really vigorous plank pose. Unless you're tired, you can put your knee down. Find your breath. So when you inhale, that left heel is going to lift even higher if that feels good. Grab the floor with your toes, and then exhale, lower your left heel some of the way or all the way. Inhale, take your heel up like you're trying to move your shin forward, and then lower. Of course, not in any way that bothers your foot or any of the bends in your body. Keep going. But eventually, lower the knee and step back. Downward dog, child's pose, or move through a vinyasa. So a quick little caveat on fitness itself. You know what it means to be fit? You can do whatever you want. It can be different things for different people, but in general, it's an idea of health. Right? So if you are somebody who's very good at doing sit-ups and push-ups and running, technically that makes you really good at doing sit-ups and push-ups and running. It can bleed into other aspects of your life. But remember, to be fit at something is to be practiced at it. And just because you're really good at doing one thing in your body does not mean you're fit in all sorts of other aspects. I'm learning this the hard way because I used to be very good at push-ups and I'm not anymore. So I'm trying to get back into it. That's part of the reason my body is very sore today. It's a good sore. It's fulfilling, but take a moment. Go to your breath. And check in with this idea of this mental fitness, right? Mental health. Insofar as you are, again, being quite picky about what you're giving your energy to. It can be absolutely that simple. And can you continue to revert, to move, to direct your attention to what serves you, what brings you up? Everything else comes and goes. Hang out in downward dog if you're not there for a couple of breaths. Feeling the heels move back and down, maybe the sitting bones lift up. Very good. Okay, cool. Let's do one more breath here. And then travel to the front of the mat and fold forward. Exhaling fully and letting the back of the neck relax totally. When you're ready to, inhale, lift the back up some and gaze forward. And when you breathe out, lower your fingertips to the floor if you can reach them there, or grab onto a piece of furniture. But we're going to turn the feet out like Malasana. And right away, you're going to lift your heels up. You can lean into your hands or your yoga blocks if you're using them. And let's lower the hips down as much as we can. So we're trying to kind of close the back of the legs. So hamstrings and calves come together. Heels are up. Press your left arm up against your left leg. Bring your right hand towards your right knee. Now from here, you're going to take your right knee and move it back in space and let your left knee move forward. Right knee back, left knee forward. And just feel your hand press into your leg into your hand, your left arm and leg into each other. And lift your chest up, just a bit of a twist, but you're really pressing your left arm and leg into each other. So the twist won't irritate the back. And let's go ahead and try the other side. So just spin forward, making any movements you need to with your feet so that your knees and feet feel good. The right arm and leg press into each other. The left hand comes to the knee or the thigh. And you're going to let your right knee move forward. Your left leg open out to the left. Push every part of your body touching another part into each other. And then as you really anchor your right arm and leg together, Lift your chest. Really, really push that right arm and leg together. Lift your chest. And let's come back down to face forward. Heels up. Grab the floor with your toes. Take your hands off the floor. And when you're ready, again, grab the floor with your toes and push yourself up to stand. And release your heels to the floor. You might roll your shoulders back. So from here, we're going to turn the torso just a little bit to the right. Like your right hand is moving behind you and your left hand in front of you. And then lift your heels up again. Pay attention to how this feels on your back. Focus your eyes. Inhale. Heels are up a little bit. It doesn't have to be crazy. And when you exhale, let your knees bend and just get close to the floor. As close to the floor as feels fine. Some of you might lean back and have your right fingertips touch the floor. It's not a better or worse thing. Just play with it. Some of you might not want to do that. Now let's go ahead and come back up. Put the heels to the floor. Bring your torso to face forward. Maybe roll your shoulders. Notice your breath. Now turn your torso a little bit to the left. Just a little. Lift your heels up. Inhale. And when you exhale, grab the floor with your toes. Lower down. The hips might lower just a few inches. They might come all the way down. Breathe. To get the fingertips to the ground is not necessarily the goal. You'll have to do some side bending, back bending, forward bending to do that. Could be good. Could be not your thing. Let's stand back up and we'll move a little bit faster. I'm going to show you guys from a slightly different angle. You don't need to watch, but you can if you want. So breathe in. Turn your torso a little to the right. Heels are up. And then exhale. Let's lower down towards the floor. Right hand behind you, left arm in front. Don't put up with anything in your knees. If you want to move your feet closer or farther so they feel better, go ahead. Stand back up, face forward. Turn to the left. Inhale. And exhale, heels up, torso low. Whatever your low is. Back up. And let's go again. Turn to the right. Heels up, torso low. Good, that's it. And back up. Switch to the left. And exhale. So you move at your own pace. Let's do inhale to stand up and turn to the other side. If you want extra breath, take it. And exhale, bend the knees. Inhale up. Turn, exhale, switch. So this might feel kind of passive at first, but you'll find that you are asking of your hips over and over again. So you're doing a bunch of squats, a bunch of them, which means the muscles of your hips are going to be asked to be under tension a lot. You might start feeling it some more. But remember, our ideas, our conclusions about ease and effort are malleable. Sometimes you can convince yourself in healthy ways that the feeling of effort is a success, not something to run away from. Sometimes you can convince yourself in healthy ways that the feeling of ease is a success, nothing to run away from. Keep exploring. Keep revisiting your breath, your mental landscape. And maybe you notice the sweet music of your body cracking. Don't worry about those cracks and pops. If they're not accompanied by pain, they're probably fine. Interesting to note, but fine. We're almost done with this. So let's do one more each side. Real good ones. Once more to the right, once more to the left. And we're going to meet however you'd like to get there in a forward fold with your feet parallel and your head dropped. When you're ready, take a breath in and lift your back up some. Gaze forward. Release your fingertips to the floor and step the left foot back. Again, I'm going to put my knee to the floor because that just suits me today. You can have your knee up or down. Lift your torso and your arms. When you're ready to, breathe in, reach for the ceiling, and breathe out. Grab onto the floor with everything touching it. If your knee's on the floor, maybe tuck your tailbone a little bit. Sit really tall. If you want to feel a stretch in your back leg, you might bend your front knee a little more deeply and add a hint of a back bend in your spine. or more of a hint if you're into it. In a nutshell, we're going to do the lunge that suits your mood today. Those of you looking for a little more physical exercise, you can bend and unbend your knees. You can really lift that back knee up so you feel the hip engaging. You can play with engaging your torso, your core in different ways. And we'll bring the hands to the ground. The back knee down too, if it wasn't already, and then the right leg stretches back. Okay, so we're on our hands and knees, the right leg is back. Breathe in, and breathe out, lean into your right hand, take your left arm forward. Let's do this bird dog without waiting for anything. You can reach your back heel, maybe even the toes back if you want to. Your left wrist, maybe even the fingers forward. And push equally into your left and right. And we'll slowly lower the hand to the floor. Now from here, inhale that right knee higher if it feels good. And then exhale, we're going to take the right knee to the right elbow. We're going to reach it back and forward a bunch of times. And some of you are going to take your back knee off the floor and do this from plank pose, maybe wiggling a little more space. If that's what you need today, go to town. Keep going. Right leg back, right knee to elbow. But when you're ready to, you're going to put your right knee to the floor by the right wrist for pigeon. You can lift your back knee if it was down and shimmy your leg, your front shin over to the left somewhere, stretching your left leg back. And we're just going to fold over the leg. Take your time. If you would like to come onto your back or stretch out your right hip in a way that better suits your body, feel free. If you're happy here though, lower your torso. This can be a passive stretch. It doesn't have to be anything where you're squeezing and pushing. If your mind is wandering and you don't want it to be, see if you can take your attention and place it underneath your whole personality, history, expectations. Just drop all of your attention to what else there is. Maybe it's a sense of peace or connection or just simple quiet. Let's make our way into downward dog. If you'd like to move through a vinyasa or into child's pose instead, have fun. Okay, up to the front of your mat as you're ready. Have a breath in, perfect. To lift your back up some, look forward, fingertips lower, right foot goes back. We're going into our lunge. Again, whichever one you'd like to do. So I'm going to put my knee down and lift my torso up. You might have your knee up. You might decide to move or be still. If your back knee is off the floor and you want to try lifting it really high, bending and unbending your knees, whatever suits. Remember, there is nothing immoral or worse about making your yoga practice be your exercise. There is nothing immoral or worse about making it be just meditative. They are both perfect. But it's your attention to, respect for, and appreciation of your body mind that is always at the center of this. placing your attention again and again on what brings you up, what makes you feel more connected, what helps you save energy. And again, sometimes that's exercise, sometimes it isn't. We're going to put the hands to the floor pretty soon. Good, perfect. And send that left leg back. So we're on hands and knees. Then the left leg goes back. Left leg, let's have tilt down towards the floor a little bit. So the front of the thigh points down and not out to the wall. And then the right arm can reach forward. And breathe here. Lifting the left leg about hip height, the right arm about shoulder height, and trying not to allow for much of a back bend in the spine. So the front of the rib cage can actually shift in just the teeniest bit, and maybe the tailbone tucks as you lift your arm and leg. Now the hand's going to come down. And when you're ready, reach that left leg back like your inhale made the whole leg 2 inches longer. And when you exhale, take your left knee to your left elbow. Maybe tuck your back toes and lift the knee off the floor so you move through plank pose into these sort of mountain climbers, left knee, left elbow, and then back, and then forward, again and again. Move with your breath. Let's say this time or the next time your knee comes forward, let the leg slide down towards the back of the wrist. Bring your shin to the right somewhere and make adjustments so everything feels comfortable. Pad up underneath your limbs if you want to, and then fold your torso down. So I don't say this a lot with this, maybe if you're doing this on the video, but this specific group in class today, you guys just remember you can always place a blanket or a pillow underneath your left hip. You can even kind of place something under your left knee pit. That feels better. But the goal is to feel a bit of a stretch or a tug on the left outer hip with no pain. So let's come to the breath again. And again, truly, if you find you're thinking something and it's not what you want, it's not what you want to be, it's not what you want to inflate, just turn your attention somewhere else. It gets easier and easier. Okay, back into downward dog. Move through vinyasa if you want to. Move into child's pose if that serves. And back to this idea of fitness as you do your thing, but in a mental aspect. You can relate the two. So when you're trying to get better at doing something like push-ups, not that you should, just an example, one day you do 5, right? You do that a couple times a week. And then the next week or the week after, you do 6. There's always a small progressive load so the body has time to accommodate and change. And same with the mental stuff. So notice if you're caught in something, what ends up happening is you notice that you're caught in something a little bit faster than you did before, even if it doesn't seem like that, because it's not linear. So go back in. Okay, what are you putting your attention and your energy on? And if you don't want it there, with as much kindness and compassion as you can, you put it somewhere else. Let's travel to the front of the mat and fold. Inhale, lift the back up, look forward some. Place your elbows to your thighs. Exhale, separate your feet a little bit. Now for my Malasana, I like to have my heels close to each other and my feet really turned out. My hips feel like that's the best. You might be really turned out, turn forward, somewhere in the middle. But let's get the butt, as close to the floor as we can, and the heels do not have to be down. I'd even suggest keeping them up because even though it's perfectly fine to have the heels down, often that makes a rounding in the lower back, which is great, but it's not what we're looking for today. So unless you can really kind of with ease bring your lower back to neutral, keep your heels up. Okay, ready? Let's turn to face the right leg a little bit. We're going to take the right leg back in space and the left knee forward some. You can put your hands to the floor or the air, whatever you want, and let's shift around. It's asking a lot of the feet, so feel free to use your hands if you want to. So you're facing forward, and then you're going to take your left knee back and your right knee forward some. Inhale forward and exhale switch. Again, with hands to the floor, you'd have maybe your left hand down as the left knee moved forward. Maybe the right hand would go to the knee or just leave it. And then again, you shift forward. Maybe you put the right fingertips to the floor. Right knee shifts forward and down, left leg goes back. You can even lift your left arm out to the side. To center, switch. To center, good, switch. I find that this feels so nice and I want so much for you to agree. But remember, if it doesn't, make a little shifts any shifts that you want to, so it feels better on your back and your hips. We're about to switch it up pretty soon. So the next time we go over to the right, we're going to hold it. So we're turned a little bit to the right. Good. Now let's take the hands off of the floor and bring them together in front of us. You can have your thumbs touch your sternum, just so we kind of get the hands out of the picture a little bit and we don't rely on them so much. When you're ready, push your toes into the floor, lift your hips. You might stick your butt back in space so there's a little less pressure on your knees and stand up. Still turning your torso a little to the right if you can. Inhale here. Lift your heels a little or a lot. Exhale, keep your torso twisting to the right, lower back down. Inhale, stand up. Keep twisting to the right. You can probably twist the right a little more when you're up. Thumbs are still at the sternum. And down. And up. And down. Keep going. You don't have to lift all the way. You don't have to lower all the way. You can take the twist out of it if your back isn't liking it as much. Good. Nice job, everybody. Next time you're standing, just stay there. Turn back to center. And just relax your arms. You might roll your shoulders. And when you're ready to, let's come back down towards the floor. Knees bend. You can get there however you want to. Heels up. You're going to let's do it like we did before in a sort of easy way. Turn your chest a little bit to the right. Right knee goes out, left knee goes forward. Come back to center and switch. You can roll onto the edges of the feet. Just move slowly so you can kind of feel your body adjusting to this, shifting to this, so it doesn't feel forced. And the lean is more and consistently towards curiosity, creativity, not competition. So you visit your edges and then you maybe ask like another tiny sip of them, just a little bit. The next time you go over to the left, you're going to stay there. We're going to lift the hands up so the thumbs come to the sternum. Push into the floor with your feet. And when you're ready to, straighten your legs, still turning your torso to the left. Lift your heels again. If you want to, you might keep your heels down and stay hinging forward and up. It doesn't have to be the way I'm doing it or anyone else. but we're maintaining that twist in the spine. You can sneak into it so you twist a little deeper and then a little less if you want. Keep going. Good. The next time you're up, come to center, relax your arms. And you can make your feet parallel to each other, roll your shoulders around. And let's undo, if only for a moment, any sense of effort. So we're no longer oriented towards a goal here. Just see how your body feels, how your breath feels. And when you're ready, reach the arms up to the ceiling, maybe lift the eyes. And exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift the back up some, look forward, fingertips down, left foot goes back. My knee is going down, you do what you want. Bring the left hand down, right hand to the right leg. We're gonna push the hand and the leg into each other, squeeze the upper inner thighs together and twist right. So you just turn your rib cage around, you might lean into your left side some. Feeling your left shoulder blade move towards the ground. Maybe the neck nice and long as you spin your nose up. And then from here, look down just to make this little balance adjustment, but make sure you're still rotating your spine to the right, okay? So you're still twisting. You're just twisting your cervical spine, your neck to face the floor, and the rest of you turns up. The rest of the rib cage turns up. Turn your right foot out to the right some. Stay twisting. You can reach your right arm up or leave the hand on the leg, but let your right knee drop out. Stay twisting. And then let the right knee come up. Out. And up. Even if your back knee is down, keep that back leg like an anchor so we don't let the back leg shift to the left or right very much. Right leg out and in. Excellent. Okay. Let's keep the knee in, put your fingertips down. We're just going to switch sides. So you can go ahead and step your left foot forward and your right foot back. Again, my knee is going to go down. Yours can be up or down. Right hand down, left hand, left leg. Turn your rib cage so the left side of it is moving towards facing the ceiling. And you're trying to move your right shoulder blade towards the right pinky. Left hand and leg dig into each other. And maybe look up. Maybe it's on the next exhale, you turn your nose down to face the floor. And you're going to let your left foot actually point out to the left some. And you can choose how far out to the left you want it to go. And when you're ready to, stay twisting. You can leave your left hand to your leg or you can reach it up, but let your left leg drop out to the left and come back to center. The only thing that's going to move is the left leg, but you might feel it lots of places. Keep on going. Release your fingertips to the floor. Step your back foot forward and come into one last malasana, heels up or down. We're mostly going to use this to sit down and come onto the back. So you don't have to hold it unless you love it. But eventually come onto your back, hugging the knees in gently. And releasing the feet to the floor. Let's bring the legs together. Tuck the tailbone. And then with your legs together, lift your hips up. If you'd like, you can lift your heels a little bit too, but we're going to squeeze the legs together, tuck the tailbone. You can, for today, if you want to lift your rib cage so you're doing more of a back bend, feel free, but squeeze your legs together and breathe. And let's slowly come down and then wiggle your feet Maybe sit bone distance apart, maybe even a little more. Turn your feet out. So the right foot points to the right and the left to the left. Tuck your tailbone again. You can roll on to whatever edge of your feet feels okay, but push down with your heels pretty substantially. And then lift your hips up again. Again, we don't have to keep the rib cage tucked for this. You can add as much of a back bend into it as you want to, but certainly tuck your tailbone. Push your heels down. This is the last kind of working pose we're going to do. As far as intentionally engaging muscle goes. So maybe just a little bit more of a squeeze in the butt as you really tuck your tailbone. And eventually you can come down. It doesn't have to be now unless you want it to. And you don't have to hug the knees into the belly. If there's something else you'd rather do, like windshield wiper the legs, that's fine. Now let's shift the hips over to the left some, and we'll take the knees to the right. So we're going into another twist. As always, especially at the end of our practice, let's make this twist be one that suits, that serves the body. It doesn't have to be an effortful thing. Lots of breath. And we'll switch sides. Yeah, shifting your hips to the right, and then letting the knees drop left. Connect to your breath. You're really intending to feel every part of every breath. The texture, the sound, the beginning, the middle, the end. Let's go into Shavasana. So if you want to hug your knees in or do anything that gives your back and your hips a little more love, feel free. And then take your legs out. Have a big breath in and a couple more sips at the top. And then let your whole body release, like a balloon kind of deflating. As your body takes care of your breath, your brain takes care of it. You don't have to do anything consciously, just let it all be. You can notice there are going to be stories and conclusions you tell and draw based so much, for all of us, on what we've been told, what we've been shown, some of it useful. But if you find you've gone somewhere where there might be some harm happening, where there is perhaps something missing from the story, Notice if you feel there's a belief about yourself or about the world, maybe attached to it, that you can kind of lessen the sort of chains of a little bit. You can just open up. No, there's a few blank pages in that book. The end's not been written yet. So we're defaulting, biasing ourselves towards curiosity, kindness, ease, maybe even connecting to something outside of the story. Now, if you'd like to stay in Shavasana for longer, please do. You can maintain or slip back into a sense of awareness, of being quite choosy about what you give your attention to. You can do that now. And if you want to move around or roll onto your side and up to sit, go ahead. And have this moment to yourself. Use it well. If you'd like to fold forward at the end of your practice, place the hands maybe behind you, maybe together in front of you. Have a breath in, and then fold forward. And stay there as long as you'd like. And thank you very, very much.